Alright, what's up guys, JR here. It is Wednesday, September the 13th, 2017, and this is going to be my trading day. As you can see, I switched back to NinjaTrader for the day. Basically, I've been on the fence about whether or not I should just bite the bullet and purchase the platform overall and switch all my stuff from AMP over to the NinjaTrader brokerage. Not completely sure how I feel about it yet. I do prefer this platform. It's smoother, it's cleaner, I've never had any problems with it, and when it comes to multi-charts, I've had a fair amount of problems in a very short period of time. So there's that to consider, but let me get down to business and talk about this trade. So what we have right here is a second entry long coming right off of our midline in the middle of our range, which typically this is a semi-risky place to enter, but I do like the fact that this is pretty much a quadruple bottom. It's a second entry. We had an uptrend working higher, and we do expect prices to come on up and retest these highs since it is in fact a range day. And typically when you come off one side of the range, you can expect to head to the other side. Signal bar is decent, not the best, but I like the fact that we traded. We opened right here, traded all the way down, turned back up and closed one tick off the high. Not completely on its high, but hey, it's an area of support. It's a second entry in an uptrend at the moment, and I am expecting prices to come on up and retest these highs. And I know usually when you get these quadruple bottoms and these areas of support, those are pretty decent places to buy. So let me go ahead and mark this trade. Alright, so this is the second entry. Let me get this thing out of the way. I don't know why I'm slightly confused mentally right now trying to talk, but yeah, let me see if I can remember what I was thinking. This is my first trade of the day. Initially, I wanted to go short right here on the breakout of this little mini range and looking for a retest for this move down. Put a stop right beneath that bar. Then when we had this bar, it was too bullish, and at that point, we have a bit of overlap, and then you get this really bearish bar. But you got like 4 or 5 bars stacked up right there. You don't want to be trying to go short. There was a nice trap right here. I didn't take that because at that point I was looking to see if we would get a failed second entry long and I'd be able to take that for a short, so that kind of ran off without me. And then this is the next setup that I see and like. There is a failed second entry short right here, which is coming right off the trend line, but I decided to leave that one alone because I figured it'd be safer to take the actual second entry, which occurred right here. So we're in this trade right now. First contract is going to come off at 1 point, which is going to be 93.75, and the second contract is going to come off at 2 points, which is going to be 94.75. One more thing to note about this trade is that I actually used a limit order to enter because I wanted to get out before the actual highs right there, the closes. So our highs are going to be 94 flat. The typical entry would have been 93 flat. So instead I put a limit order in there. I got in one tick better at 92.75. So we'll see how this goes. Unfortunately, this bar didn't close above the EMA, so I'd like to see that. We are kind of getting long directly into the EMA, but I think we'll be okay. We have all this support stacked up right there, the uptrend, and the fact that it's a range. We came off one side, so most likely we're headed to the other side. But I'm just going to go to pause right now, and I'll be back when something changes. Alright, so we're one tick away from our first contract right here. Hopefully we can push through and get it all on this same bar. That would be nice. But yeah, I'm just going to go back to pause. Alright, so we are tapping off my exit right now. Alright, so we just got that first contract off. We should pop as soon as we break above this. I think we'll get a nice little surge of buying due to the sell stops that are above here. I mean the buy stops from the sellers that are up top here. So we should see a nice little pop in a second, I think. This is a pretty nice trade. I like it. Second entry long coming right off the area of support. It's a triple bottom right there. And yeah, decent signal bar. Yeah, 2-legged pullback, so pretty textbook if you ask me. It's just right off the midline, which is it's a riskier spot on range days, but I like using it as support right here. So, and if you entered on a stop, you'd be right at your 4-tick exit right now. So it's another reason why I like those limit orders, because they get you in a little, they reduce your risk, and they get you out a little sooner. But just gonna go to pause right now, and I'll be back in a second. Oh yeah, and one more thing that I'd like to mention. A reason why I like this trade is this is kind of a little bit of a mini range right here, then you get a failed break out of that as well. So I like taking it for that reason as well. All right, so it's looking like we're breaking above this, and I think we should get that pop now. All right. All right, so it's looking like we're having a little bit of difficulty getting through this area of resistance right up top here. Hopefully we can push through it and we don't turn down with a bearish bar and then come back and stop me out at break even. But I'm thinking that we're going to come up here and retest these highs. And I'm thinking that we're going to get a pop if we can break above this. So hopefully we do that and don't turn down right here. But it seems to be struggling a tad bit with this doji. But right now it's looking a little bullish, so we'll have to see what happens with that. But yeah, hopefully we don't turn down right here. There's also a gap right here, so we have to see if it's just trying to fill that gap or if it's actually going to turn down and come all the way back and stop us out. And if it does keep going lower, I'm going to go ahead and pull my stop up to the actual break even. The only reason why it's one tick less is so that we can see the figure, basically. So we'll see if it just wants to fill this gap or if it is in fact going to turn down off this area of resistance. I hope it doesn't, but you never know, that could happen because technically we do have a break and a push on up to a new high. It may only be by one tick, but it is in fact a new high. I'd like to see a second leg up. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. Alright, and we are one tick away from getting stopped out at break even right now. So this just basically turned into a mini trading range. I mean, it was already a trading range down here when I first entered, but the resistance up top decided to hold. So we just got stopped out at break even. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, not really in, I guess you could say, a talkative mood, so the commentary might be a little bit dry today. I don't particularly have that much to say. So, yeah, I'll be back when I get another trade, though. Alright, so there's a second entry long right here, combined with a higher low. Not really a fan of it. We're in the middle of the range, and I don't completely know where we're going or what we're doing at the moment, so I'm just going to leave that alone because I can see this turning into a trap and then turning down and going lower. So I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going long or short because I don't know where we're going. So I'm just going to leave that alone. Alright, so there's a second entry long right here. Looking to see if it fails. I'm not going to short this thing. Alright, so it just failed right there. So that's a failed second entry long combined with the second entry short. Could turn out to be a short setup, but I'm not going to take that. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to wait and see if I can get a long setup because I think we may be going higher. Still not completely sure where we are going, but I know that I don't want to short this into all of this kind of support right here, and then we have the support from the midline and then a short-term trend working higher. So I definitely don't want to short that, and I don't want to go long right here either because that's a bad setup. And yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait and see maybe if we can break a little bit lower, and I'll treat that like a failed break beneath this little area of overlap right there and see if I can get a retest for the high of the day and a retest for these highs. So I'm hoping that this thing doesn't take off and give me a second leg equal to this one, so another measured move down and then I miss a great short setup. But I don't like this anyways because it's overlapped. The signal bar is bad. There's a trend working higher, although it is a failed second entry long combined with a second entry short. The context for that is bad, so I feel like the best bet is to wait for a long setup, and that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so we just kind of turned up pretty quickly. I may go ahead and take this actually because I think we have what we need to go higher. This isn't the best setup, but I think that this may be, depending on how bullish this bar closes, this may be good enough to push us up to the highs and keep going. Because if you notice, everything is closed steadily above the EMA, and this is a trap regardless. There's people who are waiting to go short all throughout here, and so I may take this. We'll see what this bar does. Ideally, I'd like to see a failed break, but if this bar closes well, I'm going to see if I can drop a limit order somewhere in there if we break higher. Alright, so I'm going to go to pause. Alright, so we got a pretty nice bullish bar right here. This is going pretty sideways. I don't like this setup too much, but I think we're going to go higher and I don't want to get left behind. I put my limit order 2 ticks better than what the initial entry would have been. I don't really want to slide this up. There's a gap right here, so we'll probably come back and fill that. Yeah, failed second entry short. It's actually right off of my trend line as well. Let me put that upper end on there so you guys can see the channel. Yeah, that thing might just take off without me. Let me slide that up to right there. But yeah, I think we're going to make our way on up and retest these highs up top there. We just need to get through this resistance, and then once we break through that, we should pop. I may have missed this trade. I need to get filled on this bar, and if I don't get filled on that bar, then I'm gonna take that off and forget about it. And we're right at this level of resistance right here. Let me put a line on there so you guys can see it. And there's the resistance. So it's not that smart getting long into that, but I like the trap. I like the failed break. Usually that's good enough to push you out the upper side. I like the trend line working higher. So we'll see if I get filled on this. It's not looking too promising at the moment. I think we're just going to keep going. But then again, you never know. So there's a gap, so that gives us a little bit of hope. That thing's gone. Yeah, that thing's gone. It popped right up top there. I missed that one. Should have entered on a stop, but it's really close to those highs, so that makes it a bit risky, and I don't really like this setup too much, but I'll see if I can get another one. Let me go ahead and mark it. I'm not going to mark it. Alright, so the bottom just fell out of this thing pretty quickly. Started moving really fast. I don't think there was any relevant news at the moment, but that was a really fast sell-off. These ticks started snapping off pretty quickly, so we'll see what happens. Right now I'm looking for a short, honestly, but I would have liked to have seen a nice failed second entry long, yeah, nice failed second entry long. But right now I don't completely know what's going on due to this fast-paced movement, but if I'm doing anything, I'm going to go short. Not necessarily saying I'm going to go short right here, but in my mind I'm looking for a short setup at this point, since we've had basically a break, move to a new high, and then this is another 2 legs up to a new high. We didn't touch these highs, but I don't know what just made that noise, something outside, but we didn't touch these highs per se. We came close to it. You don't always get it, so at this point I'm looking for a nice failed second entry long. We may not get that. We may just continue going higher, but I'll have to assess the situation, see what's going on, and I'll be back when something changes. And another thing, I'm only going to be trading for another 56 minutes because I have to get off this thing at 2 o'clock. I have somewhere that I need to be. So hopefully I get another trade. If I don't, oh well, at least I have one in the pot for the day. But if I don't, yeah. So back to pause. Alright, so we have a second entry long right here. I'm going to see if this thing fails. It may not fail. We may pop on up and actually test those highs. But we're in the middle of this trading range, so I'm not going to do anything. Only trade that I would consider taking is if we got a nice bearish signal bar for a short. I'd probably take that for the failed second entry long and coming off the upper end of this little mini range area of resistance. That may not occur, but that's what I'm thinking. Hopefully we'll get something like that. It'll also be a second entry short. But yeah, we could pop on up and retest these highs. It's been a pretty slow day. Not the best trading day. This was a really easy, clean textbook trade. That's the only one that I see and like. There was a long right here, but at that point in time, I was still thinking short. I was hoping that maybe this would turn up and fail, but turned out to be a pretty good trap. This was, I think, maybe right at 9:30. It's a little failed break lower. I wouldn't have taken that anyways because I was probably still would have been looking for a retest for that low, and it's pretty much all I see. There's a failed second entry short right there, crazy overlap. There's another one right there if you count off this low. Don't like that one. This is the only thing that I see, and like there's a failed break lower right here. Don't really like that. That's a pretty strong sell-off, and that's a bearish bar, and then that's a okay looking bar, and don't like it. Don't like this higher low either. It's going into overlap, and that's a pretty strong move down. Although you do have the support from this little, the midline and the little breakout area. You do have support right there. It's overlap, but don't like it. This trade is, I don't really like it that much, but I tried to take it, and clearly it would have worked. It's a failed second entry. Heavy chop right there, but if you notice, it's progressively getting higher, and it's off the trend line, so that was another long. And that's pretty much it. You may have considered taking this short right there on the triple top. A little ways away from the EMA. It's a failed second entry long, although technically it's not really a failure, but it's the end of a second attempt to go higher. You get a small little 3-tick bearish bar, small risk. It's just that I was expecting for us to continue going up and test these highs. So, and I was already in that thing long, but you may have considered shorting that right there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot going on today. So hopefully I can get another trade. If not, it's not the end of the world. At least I got one today. But yeah, it's back to pause. Alright, so the second entry long failed right here. It's also a second entry short. Not taking it. It's two sideways in the middle of this mini range. I don't think I have enough room. I didn't even bother measuring it, but just off the eyeball, it doesn't look like I have enough room. It's not the best setup. It could fly down, but I'm not particularly a fan of it. It's right into the EMA. Just going to leave that one alone. So I really don't know if I'm going to get another setup. It's been a pretty dry day today. This was a good one. It's the only one that I really like, but yeah, I'll see. So that's trading for you, but just going to go back to pause. Alright, so it's 2:10. Nothing's going on. I think I'm done for the day. Pretty uneventful. Only got one trade today. But yeah, that's trading for you. So sometimes you get slow days like this. The important thing is that you don't force anything, and you don't try to force any of these trades due to boredom or being impatient, because that'll really mess you up. It'll come back and bite you. So don't do that. Just stay patient, wait for the good setups, and ultimately it's better to not take anything than to force something and lose. So just try and remember that on these days that are fairly uneventful. But that's it. I'll see you guys probably sometime next week. This is JR, and I'll see you next time.